okay, those submissions there, okay, because in the meantime there, okay, for this week I have I'm going to evaluate slowly basically your submissions. All right, I'm going to evaluate slowly your submissions, okay, our submission for those exercise that we did basically there before, right? Okay, which is the 5 weeks, 6 weeks kind of exercise there, okay, 7 weeks, including some of the 7-week exercise there. Okay, those are basically 40% of those marks there, okay. So I just want to remind you guys back again, if you guys seems haven't actually submit those exercise, please submit there, okay, those exercise, complete them there, okay. And I will show there, okay, if you guys will submit completely there, okay, and in the right way at the same time there, okay, especially on the technical kind of aspect, okay, which is you can actually develop and deliver basically the right kind of line strokes at the same time here. Because this week also, okay, in project 2 day basically, okay, we still basically going to be develop that kind of understanding here. All right, because I have been basically discussed and also explain and consult with, I think most of your friends, okay, who actually have been committed by asking a lot of good questions there, okay, which is helped me basically to understand a bit more further on how actually we're going to follow up basically on our next kind of projects until our third one there, okay, which is they're going to be include the combination between these two elements all together there, okay, which is humans and also animals there. All right, and that's basically the things that we are going to go through there, okay. But we are going to give you guys a bit kind of freedom to choose your subject matter after this, but not this week, but not for the project 2 there, okay, because we still are going to develop kind of what we call understanding from here, okay. But the thing is basically, okay, some of you guys will always ask me that, okay, why actually we basically, right, I've been actually, right, show you guys how to develop those kind of drawings using this kind of layering kind of techniques. It's not like we trace those kind of what we call that reference photos there, okay, to develop our drawing and illustrations there, right, okay. So one of the main objectives there, okay, you have to understand, okay, because I don't know whether, okay, you guys please basically focus and also pay attention, okay, on my main objective, because I already told you guys so many times about it there, okay. Okay, when you guys were basically in a multimedia kind of courses there, okay, even though basically in illustration is a part of the main course there, main subject, no, not main course, main subject basically going to be develop your understanding how to develop your illustration skill, visualization kind of skills, at the same times your drawing skills. All right, but not all of you guys came with a package that you can draw before you enter my lessons there, okay. Not everyone there, right, okay. Most of you guys basically, you know that, okay, you've been struggling to develop that kind of skills. Otherwise, there are not going to be more than 20 students are not going to be still haven't submit those projects there, right, okay. You guys can see my screen over here there, right, okay. It's still stated, right, okay, 26 students from here, all right, even though some of you guys haven't submitted, okay, like when Sheen maybe they reckon no, right, because I cannot click basically to these submissions, okay. I cannot click to the submissions there. All right, you guys can see the record from here, okay.
Yes.
You guys can see that, right? So whatever that you guys were doing there, okay, yesterday or maybe recently there, okay, I cannot take a look at your submissions over here. All right, Kayan there, okay, Jingjing, Zheng Qiong, Wenxin, Jinmin, Alice. Okay, the rest of you guys there, okay, you guys have to understand there, okay. I still cannot click to those what we call that your kind of submissions over there. Okay, that mean that, okay, your works were not been there, okay. that's basically the reality of it. All right. And one of the most important reason why basically I'm still basically work with this method. I create this kind of methods that for the students there. Okay. One of the reasons is to help the student who cannot draw well to develop the understanding first how to start to develop their skills. All right, start to develop their skills there. And of course, okay, even though some of you guys thought that you can basically draw in traditional methods there, it doesn't mean that you can do it well in digitals there, right? If you don't apply the right kind of methods, there. Okay. So you have to understand, okay, the main objective why actually I introduce to you guys this kind of works there, okay? Because I know basically I came from the package that I can draw, but my methods of drawing when I was like your age were not basically right. All right. So I'm using a lot of erasers. I erase my drawing a lot. I don't have those confidence there, right, okay, to develop that kind of skills. But I think and I thought that I can draw. But when I actually write, enter basically my formal education in art and design, and after that I go through with with graphic design, and I'm majoring in illustrations, and I have my elective of multimedias, okay, a side kind of what we call the elective multimedias, okay, and also in animations that I choose my illustrations to convert, okay, without having the proper kind of channel from my university there, okay, at the times, but we managed to convert my illustrations kind of presentations into animations at the times around 1999 there. I basically work out all these kind of ideas, develop this kind of understanding and ideas there before any supervision from my lecturers there, okay, but they kind of actually believe that we can actually work on that since I was in 5th semester that we have a degree, kind of what we call that bachelor, what we call that first degree kind of bachelor, kind of what we call that courses there. Okay, so that means, right, I basically have started my FYP development research there, okay, since I was in 5th semesters there, right, okay, 5th semesters there. So 5th until 8th semester, basically I developed all my what we call the final year project based on the same subject matters there, based on the same objective, right, okay. I want to create those animations, right, in illustrations kind of majoring. So like you guys, they right again. Most of you guys came from different kind of background, okay, but you have the same kind of interest, I believe, right, okay. You love animations, you love anime, you love cartoon, you love movies, sci-fi, okay, anything that actually teenagers love right now, okay, TikTok or whatever, right, okay, and of course, right, okay, I have to be a little bit kind of improvise, okay, those kind of tactics there, okay, because whatever they actually have been developed, okay, for this 14 weeks, right, okay, is all about the experience that I get from teaching the students and develop also my skill at the same time, all right? So I cannot actually just give you guys the whole thing, the whole kind of what we call that methods in 14 weeks, and you guys going to turn out to develop a lot of exercise in every week there, because I've done that before. Even though I try to manage a bit kind of flexible kind of way of working at the same time there, right? So we try basically to give students a lot of homeworks each week, more than 10, 15, 20 drawings there, okay? But they end up there, right? Okay? They end up there, right? They don't actually apply what they've learned. And of course, some of you guys were going to become like that, okay? Okay, some of you guys might going to be develop that kind of understanding and also discipline there. All right, you're not going to apply what you've learned there, right? Okay? Because why? Because you thought basically you can do it well, but basically you don't. All right. So you not try to manage to understand what we actually going to go through there, okay, in the slowing process here, but we still basically try to gain the values that what we going to learn there, okay, in every single lesson and week there, right? So I actually heard some of you guys, okay, say there, okay, sorry, I didn't pay attention there. Then that's basically your mistakes. When you say you don't pay attention from what we actually have been go through, I believe that you guys were doing something else there. Okay? Whatever they actually have been latching, talking, demonstrate to you guys, you're not actually applying that back. And I believe I'm one of the lecturers there, okay, who actually show a lot of my demonstrations each week. All right, I'm not accusing anyone there, but if you look at what I actually produce, I will show you guys. Even though there's not much there, okay, I believe that there's a lot of things that I want to show and share with you guys. But we're going to keep that basically for next lesson, hopefully there, okay? Hopefully in digital illustrations there. Digital illustration, we're going to play with some colors a bit more. We're going to develop a little bit kind of different styles there, okay? Because I have developed that kind of the lessons for introduction illustration for since 2011, okay? Experiment with the students to develop small freedom kind of works at the first stage, but they end up not developing their skill a lot from there. Okay, some of them still cannot draw well. Okay, draw well doesn't mean that you can basically draw perfectly there, okay? But you should draw in the right way. Right way, not the perfect kind of drawings there, because I've never basically focused on the perfections there, right? But it will come naturally if you apply the right methods, which I have actually have been shown there, okay? The right methods there. What are the right methods there, okay? The first thing, not about gestures, not about blind drawings, is how you move your hands when you hold your pencil or pen, and also how you move your tablets there, okay? At the same times. That's the first thing that you have to overcome them back. All right, guys? Is my explanation is quite clear for you guys here? About the main objective, why we actually have done all these exercises there, right? Right? If my explanation is clear enough for you to develop that kind of understanding right here, please say why. Yes, directly why. If no, please explain why there, okay? Because we have to be patient there, guys, okay? We have to be patient there. And also there, okay? I did basically give you guys also, this group basically, yes or no there, okay? Do you actually understand my explanation right now, the main objective, why we developed this kind of exercise over here? Okay, this group there, right? Chanran group there, okay? The second group there, the first group that you guys been working on here, right? Okay. If no, basically put N, okay? If yes, put Y there, okay? Both group there, right? And I want you guys to open up your webcam for a while. Okay, your webcam for a while, both group there, okay? So we can record the sessions over here. All right, open up your webcam, everyone there, right? Okay, for a while there. Just let me know, okay? We still have it here, okay? And these 26 or maybe less, 20 plus kind of students who haven't submitted their right, okay? Please submit your works as soon as possible there, okay? And of course, okay, there's a 16 students over here in week 5 who haven't submitted those works there. If I want to go through back again, all right. Okay, Altilia is not here yet, okay? Pei, Beijing, Zhenxiong there, okay? Still in week 5, you haven't submitted there, right? Zhenxiong, are you here? Alice. You want to repeat the subjects, I don't know that, right? Okay. Jun Long, that, right? Okay. Xian Yin, Xiao Hui, Ji Xuan, Wei Hong, Hui Hong, okay. Zining, all right. Still haven't submitted those works. All right, in week 6, let me check the right. Okay. There's a 14 students over here. All right. Alice still haven't submitted those works. What happened to you, Alice? All right, each one of you guys there, okay? I don't have to remind you guys back again. If you haven't submitted, right, even though you have submitted those works earlier there, okay? But some of you guys who haven't submitted, I want you guys to email me basically your kind of what we call the explanations there in written there, okay? Today. By today there, right, okay? Okay, I want you guys to start. Yes.
The Chai Zining and Kim Xian Yan is from our class. They was quit the course.
Yeah. Some of you guys who submit, you haven't submitted, okay? Who actually have quit the course, I'm okay with it, okay? But the rest of you guys there, all right? Just give me some explanations, okay? A formal, simple explanations. Email to me personally back again, okay? All right? Like Alice, basically, all right? Even though I tell you, okay, I know basically you just came here basically on week 4 or 5 there, right? Okay, it's okay. Just explain a little bit, okay? Because you guys have around 100 plus students there, right? Okay? I don't want to miss basically some what we call that evaluations later on there, okay? Because as a human, I will make some of a mistake. I hopefully don't make mistake by not giving basically the right kind of informations and the right kind of evaluation for my students there, right? Because deep down in my heart, I want you guys to, each one of you guys pass, right? Okay? Pass these subjects, all right? No, basically, going to be repeat the subjects, okay? If you have submit correctly your works there, okay? Those are the things there. But some of you guys who might going to be repeat, only 2 things, or 2 type of students there basically, right? Okay? Either you are going to basically not submit properly, all right? Or maybe they're right, okay? You have basically some difficulty to develop your skills. But if you have that kind of difficulty, but if you actually consult with me or send it over some of the information, some of the samples information, right? Each week, okay? So I will take notes. Okay, this student might need to develop a bit more further of understanding there. So we know basically that, okay, this student need more help. Like, need more time that to develop it. Okay, as long as they follow basically the directions that we actually have been given to you guys, I think it should be fine there. Okay, I think it should be fine there. But the point is right now, guys, if you actually keep quiet there, okay, you keep quiet, you don't basically explain to me or share with me, okay, so this is my work, how is it, okay? Because I have a few number kind of students, like for example, if it's okay there, okay, I can actually raise some of them like Amber basically, okay? She also has some problem, right, Amber, okay? But she always follow up with me with the drawings there, okay? So that's a good thing there, okay, that we know basically those kind of what we call that the difficulty that you have, right? Even though like Keanu Ren, okay, I think Keanu Ren, okay, we actually have that kind of same kind of what we call that difficulty there, okay. But this kind of student, for example, okay, if they basically have contact me, consult with me, okay, because what we actually think, focus basically in our consultations, okay, you guys don't have to be worried, okay. It's all based on your works, okay. Those are the things that I'm going to give some advice on the works there, okay. Either the short kind of advice or very long kind of advice, okay. Basically, they're going to benefit you from there, okay. We don't actually talk some sort of like other things there, okay, except to focus on your developments there, okay. That's basically the thing that we do there, right. So thank you very much for those basically have been contact me, consult with me, individual or in by groups there, okay. And I think one of you guys, Alvin, right, okay, actually asked me to do some sort of like consultations kind of time in Google Meet there, okay? And he basically need more developing right from there, right, Alvin, okay? So hopefully, right, okay, some of you guys also, okay, will develop that kind of understanding slowly, but progressively add more values on your developments there, right, okay? Please basically, right, okay, add more values on your developments, right, okay? Those are the things that are really important here right now. All right, so all right, thank you guys, okay, for opening up those webcam there, right, okay, for this morning's over here. Right, if you don't have any questions, all right, okay, you guys can submit later on. Okay. I believe most of you guys who did not actually respond, you actually have the same kind of understanding there. All right. Okay. Same kind of understanding, okay, on what are the main objectives from here, okay. So I want to talk about our basically week 9 kind of projects there, okay. So before this, basically, the guys, okay, I'm actually developed that kind of lessons that based on the continuity of those what we call the subject matters there from when we actually have done a few number kind of exercise there, okay. I jump over into character design there, okay. But the way that I treat character design in the previous kind of semesters were based on developing basically from a basic shape there, okay. But when I actually look back again there, okay, even though there's a few number kind of successful kind of ideas from there, what we call that submissions from there, okay. But the thing is, right, okay, the student still doesn't actually develop the right kind of drawing skills there. And they end up basically, right, okay, even though we have 2 different semesters, which is introduction and digital illustrations, and digital illustration, we focus on digital works there, okay. But some of them, what we call that when they actually learn how to use digital tablets, basically for the second semester, not first semester, okay, they kind of have a very slow kind of progress on developing the skills there back again. Because when they actually develop the kind of skill from the first semester in traditional, also they had the hard time there from there, right? And then suddenly they jump over into digitals. They made up basically the methods and techniques a bit more worse from them, okay? And I would say that some of them basically were basically feeling a bit kind of down, frustrated, and they don't want to use tablet anymore, okay? On the 5th or 4th to 5th semester, they try to sell the tablet to the juniors there, okay? Because they thought it's not quite very relevant for them to use them, okay? That's basically the worst thing that happens, basically, right? Because the student doesn't believe and develop basically on their own way of their kind of design skill using the tools there, okay? That's basically some wasted kind of what we call that way, basically the way of those thinking there, okay? Because they don't actually have that kind of beliefs and confidence that they can develop from there. Because when we use the tablet, okay, we have to make sure that, okay, the technologies that actually bring over to our tables are going to make our presentation a little bit more better there, okay? Better than the traditional one. All right. So our main objective is still the same there, basically, okay? But I'm going to give you guys only 5 images there to develop those skills. But the process of developing those kind of drawings are going to be almost the same. But right now, we are focusing on a bit more like a proper kind of, we call that, what we call that subjects there, okay? We don't draw human bodies anymore there, okay? At the moments there, right, okay? But we're going to focus on the faces there. Because I'm going to draw structures based on the faces there, but I don't want basically use a drawing reference or anime reference yet, or any kind of, we call that, pictures reference from other people's works, okay? But I already give you guys also some of the books there, okay, that we can share, okay, that I want to share with you guys here there, okay, which is These books basically I've been shared to you guys yesterday there, okay? It's basically one of the good books that you guys can use as a part of your reference for your lifetime there, okay? If you not willing enough to buy or to bought some of the books there, okay? This is basically one of the good books that I find quite interesting, how to design the characters there. All right, this is one of the good books there, okay? You guys can use there, okay? So if you take a look carefully, okay, most of the drawings characters that came from the ships, they basically develop also those gestures line drawings there, okay, to develop that kind of understanding there first, okay? You guys can take a look there, okay? The explanation about the primary shape that use circles, square, and triangles, as I actually have mentioned before, even though I didn't go deep, but I did show you guys how it really developed then, right? Because most of the good characters came from this all primitive kind of shapes there, okay? Primitive kind of primary, primitive kind of shape there, okay? But the most important thing that you have to understand when you look at this picture, right? Don't look at the final works only there, okay? Try to find some indications how they actually develop all these kind of primitive shapes before they're going to design those works there, right? And of course, if I actually going to show you guys later on, please take a look carefully. Pay attention there. And of course, every single method that I actually show you guys, it can be improvised as long as you know how to control your pressure strokes, your drawing strokes there. That first thing there, okay? Don't draw like there's hesitation anymore there, right? That's basically that you suppose, okay? Because all these kind of element of shit that they apply, they improvise them at those details by either by using layering or you can erase there, okay? But I'm using layering there, okay? Because we're using Photoshop there, okay? So we use advantage from there. But if you check, look closely how actually they develop this kind of drawings over here. The first thing, not about the circle and shapes there, okay? But the way they construct those lines, that's basically what you should look at there first. How they control basically the pressure there to develop that kind of constructive line before they're going to add some details there. I don't want to touch about the coloring methods there first. Like I said, coloring is not that hard if you actually have been understand how to use warm and cool color later on. Have you guys actually learned those color theory, warm and cool colors?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about it? Is it fun? Is it understandable? Interesting? All right. Okay, good. Right. And of course, okay, those kind of color theory methods, okay, they will be applied on your works, but basically not for these two exercise or two kind of projects yet. Okay, why? Because when I look at some of the submissions of your works, okay, you need more kind of attention to develop the understanding how to shade the shadows in the right way. Shade the shadow first in the right way, okay? So try to get browse on this kind of books, okay? Hopefully, this book will give a little bit kind of answer to you guys, because some of you guys said, okay, so why actually, right, you don't teach basically this kind of method, blah, blah, blah. I cannot actually, right, conclude the whole things together, okay, because not everyone can draw well. Most of it have more attention to develop the skill in the foundation step first. But of course, this book will help you to gain a bit kind of understanding there, right, to develop that kind of understanding on the way you develop that kind of skills there, okay? That's basically the first thing, okay? See where I get the rhythm, the line of actions that we apply from you. If you want to design the very good characters, you need to understand and apply that kind of understanding on the postures of your line of actions every time when you want to draw there, okay? So take a look at these drawings over here, all right? They have basically a different kind of postures there, okay? And of course, the most important thing that everyone should basically set in their mind, how they're going to control the stroke there first before they understand about the structures there. Okay? Control the pressures well. All right, guys? Remember that. All right? control the pressures well, that is. Because I've seen a lot of people, some people basically still struggling to draw the circles, the shapes, right? Okay, feel hesitate, right? Okay, even though, right, literally you basically have to trace them. I hate to use these trace kind of words, right? Okay, because they look a little bit kind of naive and they look a little bit kind of like what we call that, right? Like mediocre, right? Okay, mediocre kind of maths and mind there, right? Okay. But the thing is, that's basically the best way, basically, you guys can use layering and to develop your understanding there, okay? To move your hands according to those reference steps. Because I know if you don't actually draw on top of the layers, your drawing will become a little bit more worse, okay? But the thing is, we always put our thought and our understanding and focus for granted, right? You don't focus really well there, even though you have that kind of images in front of you. People still draw nose, lips, jawline, eyes in the wrong side of the way there, right? People still there, okay? By right, most of you guys has a normal kind of visions there. And none of you guys basically have to draw using legs or using mouth, all right? Or using the skewed kind of what we call that hands there, right? Like some disability kind of students there, right? Anyone you have that kind of disability? Anyone here have those kind of disability there, right? Misfortune kind of what we call it, physicals there. Anyone from these groups? Have or not? If you have, I feel sorry about it. If you don't have, that means each one of you guys can do better than what you should do, basically, have done basically for the first project. And for the rest of your exercise there, okay? Remember that. You have to push a bit more further, focus, understand, and of course, pay more attention there. Pay more attention from there. Guys can take a look and browse these books over here. All right, this is some of the good samples there. Okay, that you can develop, you can understand how to draw those torso, the core, okay, the hip, basically, okay, to adjust the pose, basically. Because all these informations we're not basically are going to use only for this semester's day. You're going to learn animations, this gesture pose, line of actions, okay. The constructive line are really important in order for you to design your own characters for animations later on. Trust me on that, because I've done animation also there, right? Okay, so that's why these informations not only going to be used only for these semesters. You guys can download these books there, right? These PDF books, keep in your folders, in your drive, okay, in your computers, right? And this book are going to be help you to develop a bit more further understanding, to develop the skills. The second, the third semester, the fourth semester, I think for your final year projects at the same time. All right. If you interested on developing those characters there for your animations or for your comics or even though for game design there, right? Okay, these books. All right, these another books that actually been shared. I think I already share a few number kind of books, right? Manga, drawings, or whatever they're okay. So don't basically question why I actually didn't teach, right? Okay, I give you guys some example and samples that works on first, right? Okay, and you guys can learn also from here how to design some gestures line of those characters directly at the same times, all right? And how to work with the basic kind of shapes, all right, okay? To develop that kind of standings there, quite slow the line over here, all right? The right kind of quality of line for gestures line there, okay? Gestures line is not only to draw those chin-chai kind of drawings there, just like my new channels like chin-chai cartoons, I can know that, right, okay? Word chin-chai is whatever they but basically we want to develop basically the right kind of posture strokes and quality of line at the same times. Okay, quality of line at the same time, guys. You check look how actually they actually develop that kind of line works of here. The confident line at the same time, even though these drawings basically been using traditional media therapy, but it can be applied also in computer kind of works directly in the right kind of what we call that tools that we're going to use or brush that we can use there. The postures line, the line of actions, that actually going to be reflect basically the pose for your design for your characters, even though for animals, okay, or any kind of actions of movements of what we call the subject matters there or creatures there, right? Okay. So this basically some informations that really important for each one of you guys over here, okay, to develop a kind of understanding here, right? Okay, to work on that. So any questions there so far? So the pictures basically that I'm going to use, okay, the deadline are going to be no one basically, right, okay, what we call that questions or ask me there, okay, that I actually put the wrong deadline there, okay, for those month there, okay, for last week's kind of submissions there. It's supposed to be August, but I put July there, okay. No one basically, okay, I don't know whether you guys read basically the brief or not, okay. And even though I have to explain back again there, okay, that's kind of what we call that the main objective there, okay. We have to withdraw using digital tools to develop an understanding and improving your skills there. Your skill. The size are going to be 8 by 11. The main size remain, okay, but you can change the format according to those pictures that you have. Okay, this one is a bit more like landscapes, portraits, there, right? Landscape and landscape. You can change that, right? Okay. So we have two different kind of animals that we're going to study. 3/4 kind of portrait and side profiles, including the front view there, okay, that I'm going to use, all right, in our projects over here. Okay, this is the pictures that you guys are going to use as a reference to develop your kind of understanding there, guys, okay, for these 2 weeks, right, these 2 weeks, okay. The marks are going to be given equally based on the first project there, okay, 20% there, okay, from 100 there, okay. But that 20% is basically a huge kind of marks, okay, that based from the 100% kind of what we call the evaluations. All right. So please basically keep reminding you guys, okay, each exercise is really important to develop your understanding on improving your drawing and illustration skills. All right. Any questions? Any questions there? All right. So if there are any questions there, right, okay, I will begin to develop basically our demonstrations here. Oh, talking almost 11 by 11 there, okay. All right, guys, take a look over here. Right, to develop basically understanding, okay, when you want to develop your kind of understanding something, first of all, for this week, okay, we go back into our methods of drawings over here, which is, okay, we want to study the basic structures of human face, because I saw a lot of people when they draw the writing, they still draw like this one there, okay. This is not the right way for you guys to start with, guys. Okay. What I want you guys to start, okay, to develop the kind of understanding. Who actually open up those mic? Can you switch off those mic there? Anyone who switch on the mic there, right? So guys, to develop the human face directly or human structure, any structures directly, first of all, okay, if you want to go to measurement directly, this is basically almost basically directly the symmetrical kind of what we call that kind of portrait directly. So if we take a look at human face directly, if you measure them directly inside those boxes over here, okay, inside those boxes directly, basically the hair basically a bit more higher than the skulls there, right? Okay, so half of it are going to be this part. Okay, I don't want to make it too accurate there, okay, But basically, if you can see there, okay, half of the head are going to be, half of the face are going to be the eyes itself there, okay. That's basically how actually you're going to work on that. If you're going to adjust a little bit, maybe you're going to be right here there. Okay, the measurement there, guys, okay. I want you guys to draw the measurement on those faces at the same time there, okay. And look back again. And in between there, okay, those faces there, okay, half of it basically are going to be, okay, from eyebrows, sometimes, okay, from eyebrows over here, and nose, right, are going to be the ears there. But I think these pictures there, okay, these faces, okay, is basically a little bit kind of like that. She basically look a little bit kind of downwards, a bit like that. If you actually look in front, okay, in your eye levels, basically, okay, if you look mine there, okay, if I want to capture my kind of faces over here, okay, this one there, right? Okay, my faces there, all right. Okay, look closely, the eyebrow itself there, right? Okay, let me print my print screen over there. It's right here. Let me measure this one there, right? Okay, delete this one. Take a look, guys, okay, if we actually, right, be more flexible in our samples of work. All right, take a look over here. Okay, normally, okay, now take a look here, right? The head, okay, I think because the what we call that, okay, the head more bigger like this, okay. If my face were not going to be combined there, okay. From here, okay, my face basically, okay, the head, okay. Okay, of course, okay, basically my hair will be kind of like higher a little bit, okay, but my skull basically right here. And this is basically the chin are going to be right here. And this basically the half of my, almost half of it, okay. My measurement of my faces there, okay. But if you take a look, okay, the eyebrows over here, lower a little bit, okay. So each one of us has different kind of measurement there. But half of these faces, this is what we call that measurements, are going to put into this one there, right? Half of it, basically. Okay, half of it there, right? Okay. The lips and also the chin itself there, okay. The measurement there. Okay. So if you actually draw human face, try to basically look closely. All right, okay, this one will be kind of higher a little bit because of those angles there, okay, the positions there. So take a look carefully while you draw. This measurement, it doesn't have to be applied all the time when you want to draw, right? But for this exercise, you need to basically measure back again there, okay? The positions, the alignment at the same times before we are going to draw things. All right, take a look over here there, okay? Normally it's half of it there, okay? Half of it there, okay? Standard is half of it, okay? They divide into half there, okay? But at the moments there, we don't have to basically to apply accurate because we have to relying on those reference, there, okay, to work on that. So take a look carefully when you draw them, okay? The size of it. Okay, between two eyes there. Okay. Measure directly, they are going to be have another eyes over here. Okay, to measure the eyes there, okay? Remember that. Okay, the nose alignment there, okay? We're going to touch basically the first point of those eyes here. The nose, the size of the nose there, okay? Which is basically is almost as big as our eyes there, okay? Almost like the nose itself, depending there, okay? The lips basically there, right, okay? If you look at the lips there, right, okay? The measurement between the sides of the lips there, okay? Sometimes are going to be beside the sides of the lips. This one there, okay? Okay. So try to measure the okay carefully when you draw. Right. Sometimes it's going to be right. The standard are going to be in the middle of those eyes. You see that, right? Okay. So this is basically some basics understandings before you're going to draw them. Okay, before you're going to draw them, okay. That's basically you should understand that first, okay, before you're going to work in every single kind of portraits kind of drawings there. Okay. So now, how to develop okay those elements there, okay? To draw those eyes there, okay? I have actually shown you guys what we call that, basically how it works, okay? Of course, okay, when you want to start to draw eyes, don't just look at the reference only there, okay? Look at the structures itself. Structures itself, right? That's what I say, okay? If you apply tracing, you're going to find out yourself to draw like this. But if you draw basically the right, this is how actually you apply them back. See? Difference there, right? The shape itself. But if you want to understand how to draw the shapes of the eyes again, it will start with the one line over here. See, one line is over here. Another line are going to be right here, curve a little bit, and they're going to be using this kind of line over here to work on those to complete basically the shapes of the eyes there. So they're going to be a diagonal kind of line from this side, a diagonal line for this side there. You guys cannot see them if you don't understand the whole structures over here. That's what I actually ask you guys how it works there, okay? Develop kind of understanding here. And it will look like a fish there, the shapes of it, of every single human eye there. Even though you have basically those these Asians kind of look there, right? Take a look closely. Okay. The shapes of it look like. Don't draw like this one there, okay? Draw the shapes of it there first. The shapes are going to be like a fish there. Even though you have a very small kind of shapes of eyes there, okay, some of you guys, they still look like a fish there. The shapes of it. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Oh, actually, don't simply draw like this one there first. This can be a style. Always start with this line there first, this kind of positions there. See, this is 3 quirky shapes there, okay? Kind of looks. The nose itself there, okay? To develop a kind of understanding to draw the nose came from this triangle kind of shapes here. But if you put into another circle shapes here, okay, they will define basically those structures there, okay, of the nose themselves. See how actually I draw those. From this side there, okay, you guys can draw those, the line that apply to develop the nose shapes there, right? From this side. Okay, from this side there, okay. But from front view here, no one draw the nose like this. Okay, if you want to develop the kind of shapes there, okay, for the nose. Okay, take a look over here, okay, the triangle shape they apply from the nose. All right. Then when we apply the shapes of it, okay, take a look how actually I move my hands there to draw. Right now, what you need to do there, okay, focus how actually I develop basically the kind of strokes and positions of my line there, okay, and then you apply them back into your own drawings. Okay. People basically, okay, don't actually focus when they saw how actually I developed that kind of solving some of the problem. They simply basically, right, like, I don't know, they're okay, they just draw them there, okay, from what they think, they thought basically is right. By right, okay, if you take a look closely how actually I start to draw them there, okay, even though I draw without those structures line there, okay, take a look over here. I'm using a shadows line there, okay, to develop the nose shapes. This part basically there, right? I'm going to apply the kind of lines over here to shape up the nose structures. Okay, and then this part has a shadows there, okay. I didn't actually touch them there, okay, but only touch a few number kind of lines over here. And then what I can do from here, this is something that most people actually have made a lot of mistake when the shadings there. They shades like this. Anyone who shade like this, you fail. Why? First of all, you can change your flows there first to control the pressures line, the pressures kind of strokes. Around 12, 9, 8, or minimize it. And then you check look the size of the shapes that apply on those nose there for the shadows there. I will increase the size at first. And then start to. Can you see how actually I'm shading there, right? Carmen, some of you guys there, or Amber there, right? Okay, Kianren. See actually how actually I shade it, right? Okay, am I actually use a lot of pressure strokes on that? Not, but I actually try to shade carefully and control the pressure and size at the same time there, right? You see, follow basically, okay, the point of shadows that actually been applied from those reference, and then from here, okay, there's a few number kind of light shadows over here that you can apply from there. And this is also something that I want to what we call the shoulder, okay, the size of it. See, I changed the size of the cursor there, right, okay, from small into a bit more huge, and I try to control basically those kind of shadows at the same time, okay. If you have missed out basically this kind of method, right, okay, or you simply kind of like confused directly, what you can do, move over your reference aside, simple as that, or you can put into a new parts directly, new can always call that files, and then you practice back again, okay, according to the areas, okay, this is the core shadows, okay, combined with the surface kind of shadows there, okay. So slowly, right, change the size according to the space that you want to paint it, right. The way that I paint, that I actually have a lot of sloppy kind of looks when I throw shadows there. Most people actually have made mistakes. They have a sloppy kind of shapes of shadows there because they don't control well the flows, at the same time the space, the range of space there, okay, to develop basically those kind of shadings at the same times. Okay, I touched those kind of things for the first project there, right? Take that in mind, okay? So if we go back again, okay, to our lessons over here. Okay. Draw basically what is it? The lips. The shapes of the lips there, okay? This is basically those the center point there, right? Okay? Draw the mouth there first. Okay, the lower lips, the upper lips, lower lips, okay, the lower lips a bit more bigger than the upper lips there, okay? It shapes based on those mountains or triangles there. All right. This one, I believe, is a bit more like a lake there, right? Okay. So this is basically the shapes of it. And I always start to draw those mouth line before I'm going to draw basically the whole, both of the lips there, right? Normally. Okay. So what I'm going to do right here, when I want to start to draw there, right? Take a look right here, how actually I draw things. I'll actually control my line at the same time there, right? Look carefully how actually I draw and move them back. Then, if I actually have satisfied with my line over here, I draw the feet at the same time, right? And then I start to draw basically those lips there, right? But I didn't combine them. Look carefully to those lines there, guys, when I draw. Then I combine them, not. So this part basically has a shadow, some of the obvious kind of textures there, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some suggestions line there, right? Okay, for those lips there. But you guys can improvise back again when you actually have been developed basically the right kind of stroke or skills there, right? From there. See? The eyes itself, we start back again. How actually I draw them, start from this side. Okay, and draw this kind of line over here. Okay. The eyelid, I don't have to draw all of them. Suggestions line for those eyelids only there, right? Okay, for the start. And then the eye, the pupil there, okay? Draw in different kind of line there, right? Okay? And of course, all right, guys, okay? When you want to draw some portraits sometimes, okay, if you really want to have, because human face basically is really complex, okay? Sometimes if you change a bit kind of line, they will affect basically the natural kind of look of those human there. So that's why every single kind of stroke and line you must be experiment them and explore them. Okay, consistently, okay, in your practice there, okay. Now, people always trace them. I don't trace the whole thing, okay. What I can do from here, okay, pupil and iris, okay. The black pupil, normally I'm going to redraw them back. According to my understanding over here, this is going to be shapes of the pupil are going to be right here. That's why people don't see them. But I show you guys how it works there first. Okay, we don't have to draw the inside eyeballs, okay, even though you can see them, okay. The shapes of the eyeballs are going to be, I think, around this big there, right? Quite big there, right? Shapes of it. I believe the eyeball there, right? Okay. So you must be able to develop a kind of understanding while you draw logically. And of course, okay, I already show you guys there how it works over here. So follow them back. So from here, you want to apply basically the highlight right here, go ahead, okay? But the thing is right now, practice also your etching. So what I'm going to do here right now, I'm practice my etching on the pupil and the iris at the same time there, right? See, this part basically has to be increased a bit kind of details, right? And add some highlights a little bit. Leave some of the tone there, okay? Don't press too much over here. See? Practice to draw those eyes. Same goes to the side there, right? So whatever that we're working on right now, okay? Check out how actually I draw it. Pay attention there, guys. Don't just simply just now, later on you draw the eyebrows, okay? Too much. You want to focus them, but you don't actually focus on the main part there, okay? Basically the strokes that actually apply from this exercise over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm etching a little bit on the shadings over here, using basically the same kind of brushes there. Pay attention in how actually I solve some of the problem using those lines there, right? And right now, when I just satisfied with it, try to draw those shapes of those eyebrows there, right? Okay. This is also some of you guys will fail there, right? Okay, to control the pressures there. Even though I'm using 15% of point size, you see how actually I control your line, my lines over here, and pressure at the same time to draw those eyebrows. Because I didn't trace it, guys. I draw on top of it. Remember that. Some of you guys who thought they can draw well, traditionally, okay, but the problem is you put a lot of pressure on your shading, they become sloppy, they become dirty there, right? Okay, and they don't look naturally there, okay? Because we want to have that kind of natural kind of strokes there, right? In our practice, okay? Not just to follow basically what I do, basically, okay, but we want to make some natural kind of understanding when you draw them. Like I actually have been raised to you guys before, I did not focusing on perfections, but it will came naturally when you start to develop your kind of understanding and skill in this. I think I don't have to go through with how I actually draw the hairline over here. But I really hate people draw the hairline like this. It doesn't actually have any value to develop that. But I love to see that people actually write. You see there, okay, how actually I move my hands over here? Control basically the pressures that line. See? Control the pressures line. And of course, okay, again, we don't basically trace them. But we draw those hairline according to those drawing strokes there. See, right? Pay attention basically how actually I move my hands there, guys. It works on that. Even though you cannot see my hands over here. But if I show you guys how it works there, right? This is how actually I move my hands there. It is jawline basically the right thing. I draw a very thick kind of line, but has a very smooth kind of motions there, right? Quality of line that we produce over here, guys. The ears shapes, all right? You don't have to basically to draw something that you don't understand there, right? But I can actually suggest to you guys, basically this is basically the ears shapes over there. To draw ears, as I mentioned to you guys before, one of the simplest way that I produce, take a look how actually I move there, right? Those ears. Without tracing them. If I want to draw those ears from this side over here, there, right? You can see there, right, how actually it works. There. If I want to draw by myself, there, right? This is how actually I produce them. You see? 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the nose trail there, okay? Maybe I'm going to add a little bit more further from there. You can develop those kind of patterns that you want to draw those ears there, right? Into your kind of preferring of understanding there. That's how it goes. The nose from the side there, right? Shapes of it. Triangle shapes, diagonal line, See, look carefully there, guys, okay, when you draw them. It's going to be those chin there, right? Check, look carefully while I draw them. This is the eyeballs that I believe, the shapes of those eyes. We kind of diagonal from to the right, downwards. There. And add those kind of detailing on those lines at the same time. So you control the pressures at the same time from here. So people basically, okay, a lot of people, they don't pay a lot of attention when they draw them. Even though in front of you guys, they have shown basically the pictures of it. All right, remember that. Now, I want to go into this next lessons over here, which is, all right, draw basically the animals there, right? So take a look at the animal carefully there, okay? The circle shape that apply from it. Still, they have the circle shape that apply, right? Triangle shapes. Sometimes we put it to another circles over there. Try to study the measurement at the same times when you draw them, triangle shapes. Because when from here, basically, okay, the line of actions, all right, they have one, join, two, join, three, join on those legs there, okay? Animals there. 1, 2, 3. All right. Basically the join of those legs there, okay? Understand that first that it works. Basically, this is the belly there, okay? The belly there, okay? The structures are going to be right here there, okay? On those shapes of these animals there. So basically, this basically the pelvis, also the backbone there, right? The cage works on that, and these are going to the tail shapes. Oops. Right. So get the right kind of gesture first from here. Okay, these are going to be the next legs there. Okay, the back kind of legs there. Okay. To understand the whole structures before we're going to add some of the details. The eyes there is empty. Check with the eyes there, okay? Three different kind of line there, okay, that apply. Same thing like a human there. The nose, check look here. The V shapes there, right? The lips. Okay. Don't draw suddenly the what we call that this cougar or this big cat, okay? Smile like this. Huh? Some people will actually have this kind of creativity, okay? I don't know where they get some ideas. They draw the cats become smile like this, there, right? Okay. And the worst thing, sometimes they put those what we call that those cats basically have those kind of cigar there, right? Okay, on that, or marijuana from there. Okay. Don't be too creative, there, guys. Okay. Study carefully there first. Okay. Look into your reference at the same time when you draw them there. Right? Okay. The parts basically right here, they can apply on the shadows itself. Okay, look carefully to your subject matter all the time. Okay, all this lesson that I actually show you guys, basically I want you guys to understand about the basic structure first, basically there. Okay, to work on that. See, because I have basically some sort of like this kind of what we call that samples that I can actually give you guys also some what we call that exercise to work on that. But I think it's too basically too technical there, okay? But you guys can use also for your if you want to use as actually as part of your reference, right? I love basically to use this kind of example sometimes, okay? Because why? Because it gives basically a very kind of good aesthetical kind of understanding here. So if we take a look closely there, okay, this one, I will distort a little bit here, okay. I will stretch a little bit here there, okay, because of those references that we have. So if you take a look closely there, okay, the shapes of this leopard there, this cougar there, okay, Take a look here nicely. Okay, very nice kind of postures there, right? So this is basically the logic kind of things that we can actually apply there. Okay? Even though you don't have to understand the whole thing, but trust me there, guys. Okay, if you watch how Disney, Pixar animator, right, okay, work with their character design, right? They actually have the zoologists and also some animal expert came into the projects there. Why? Because when they want to design any animal characters, they have to understand the anatomies, the bone structures there first before they're going to improvise into those design and apply the shape at the same time there, guys. Okay, people outside there, okay, the international professional kind of works, okay, they don't play around with those kind of research there. We actually, most of it, like we as a Malaysian there, okay, always take for granted that we just fascinate with the finished kind of products there. We become an end user all the time there, right? We don't actually study properly how the thing works, how these things basically works there, right? So if you take a look right now, okay, the position, even though this is not right position, it's basically the other leg there, okay, but you can see the bone structure that connected between the legs before they could add some postures there. That's why this kind of exercise is really, really, really important for you to understand first how it works, the whole structures over here. All right, draw them first, and then once you actually get it right, you can start to, you can start to, what we call that, we draw them, okay? See how actually I draw them there, right? And of course, the eyes of those cats, even though it basically it's natural kind of look from those human there, but there has to be a difference a bit. Don't draw like the human eyes lah. Huh? Suddenly become the human eyes there, right? Okay, like that. Take a look carefully on the structures itself if you want to draw them there, right? I said I changed a little bit with the nose line over here. I can actually give you guys, okay, some sort of like a green light there, okay? Okay, draw everything like this without studying basically the whole structures there. But there is no point there, okay? You don't develop that kind of understanding there, okay? If you guys are going to blame, okay, are we only tracing them, right? Okay, hey, draw basically the structures back again. If you really, really thought that you actually were tracing or not there, right? Okay, from there. But the thing is right now, even though tracing the racket that you thought, people still cannot get the right kind of strokes like this. As I actually have been show you guys over here how it works. Okay? People still basically cannot actually develop that kind of understanding to develop the right kind of strokes there. We're talking about that there, guys, okay? The right kind of stroke, not this kind of strokes there. People still draw something like this. I don't know why. But the way that I produce right now, there, okay, the stroke that I produce right here, there, right? Oops, where is it? Too fast there, okay? Can you see how actually I move my hands over here, there, right? Huh? So that's basically the quality of line that some of you guys can actually produce, okay, from your sketch line to develop basically your skills. It's a little bit kind of expressive there, right? But it will give you a bit kind of full control on your understanding at the same time, guys, okay? To focus on that. See? Because a lot of people always start, okay, they actually have to draw the whole thing according to those reference, okay, but they don't actually try to manage to develop the right kind of strokes at the same time, okay? Some people I saw they basically, okay, they still draw like this one, right? Okay, can you see that, right? The line, they use a more smaller kind of what we call that point size there. They draw like this one here. no basically confidence there, okay? We want to develop those confidence there, guys, to work on that. Using basically around 8, 9 or 10 there, right? See how I actually press the line and strokes there, okay? I press and release there, right? Press and release, but not just simply actually draw them without using basically the pressure pointer, okay, to work on that. So this is basically also one of the drawing strokes that you can actually learn to develop here. You press and release, and you can do some etchings, okay, on the background to show basically the depth of fields of your kind of drawings at the same time here. So if you can manage to work with this kind of line works, can you see how much time that you save basically to produce one assignments or one project there? All right. How much time that you spend there, right? That you can develop that kind of understanding at the same times, the strokes, the brushes, the styles, and also when you actually have complete them, sorry, there. Put a side over here. So some of you guys say that, okay, you don't want to trace. Sorry, there. That's basically your understanding by applying basically the shadows, strokes, right? Brush, adjust the flows until around 11, 10 point size there, okay? A precious line. Check look right, okay? The shadows there, okay? Where basically the highlight came from, one side, two side, three side there, okay? So follow basically those shadows there, right? Okay? It apply from those reference there, from those subjects there, right? Okay. So this side basically a bit more huge there, right? Okay, areas. So what I can do, when I paint, basically I'm using this, the what we call it, the flows or formations of those shadows. Adjust the size a little bit to cover that, right? This side will be kind of huge there, right? Okay? Adjust the size, not too much there, right? Add some shadows line, okay? Not too much there. Right, this side at the same time here, right? At the side there, okay? And focus on the area that you want to shades here, right? And can you see that, right, guys? How basically that I actually, right, apply the base kind of shadow surface, but not making too sloppy there, right? Okay? Can you see the flows of it? That's the size a bit more. This part over here. Maybe later on I can actually put both those basically right there, right? Those shadows, okay, to make it those faces, make it more fierce there, right? Okay. But overall, basically, you guys can see there, okay, how actually I manage basically to work with the shadows, but not making too sloppy that some of you guys have been done there, okay? A paint like this one there, right? This there, okay? You want to add some shadings that based on fur line is okay, right? Okay, but it's not basically the right way to work on that. Size a bit more. And of course, okay, I can actually add some shadows over here if I want to, right? Okay? Is not to make it complete the whole thing, but you can actually write, okay, put some suggestions basically first. Yeah. But not too details there, guys. Not too dark there, right? To focus on the foreshadows. Because normally from here, you can actually write combined with different kind of brushes there, like pencil hard brushes. That's a little bit on the flows. Okay. Control the pressures at the same times. Mix them up all together there, right? Don't worry about, okay, how actually I'm going to draw the full line there, okay? From this cat, okay? Use the textures brushes that works on that first. Because the main point is right now, we want to practice our drawing skills here. We want to develop our drawing skill at the same time, practice our illustrations works there, okay? There's a lot of things that you have in line there, okay, to make it your responsibilities, okay, on your kind of understanding here. That's why I don't want to push further a little bit more, okay, right? Oh, I want to draw those full line, become a bit more like details, like looks a bit more like the pictures there, okay? It will came naturally there, okay, once you actually have added a lot of understanding how to control basically your pressures in the right way. Control the pressures basically in the right way there first. So this is basically the rough kind of what we call a drawing. And you know, basically I can do more better than this, but it's basically is good enough for you guys to see the what we call that the directions that we want to go from here there, okay? You develop that kind of understanding on the stroke itself, the structures at the same time there, okay? And then if you can draw more animals if you want to, go ahead, okay? I just want to give you guys only 2 different kind of animals there. When to draw more there, okay, go ahead there, okay? Because I have a few number kind of collections that I have here. All right, you guys can choose also yours, not only for submissions, that for your own kind of understanding and skill and the structures and the same under, okay? That will give you a more beneficial kind of understanding in the futures there, okay? Whenever that you want to develop your kind of what we call that skills there, okay? That's basically the thing that we want to try to apply there, right here, there, okay? If you take a look closely here, there, okay? If I want to go a bit more further, okay, which is I love sometimes to experiment with my kind of drawings, right? Okay, what I can do from here, there, right? Normally, I would try to what we call that. I basically will be kind of like a structures line, a gesture structures line for those bone there, right? Okay. To make sure that okay, I can actually develop the kind of understanding, okay, because this basically okay, this kind of exercise there, okay, and also the project that you guys be working on, okay, combined with those contour line drawings over here, but not too much there, okay. It will give you guys some value on your presentation at the same time here, right? Basically, we're not right if I want to combine them, so I'm going to use basically my kind of understanding here to draw basically back again those kind of structures from here there, right? This one, the structures of those what we call that those skeleton, the skulls, okay, they are going to be a little bit more like this one there, right? They're going to be those what we call that skulls are going to be right here. Yeah. So if you have that kind of understanding like this there, okay, by observing basically your kind of subject matters, do some research a little bit there, right? You can basically came across with this kind of understanding in the futures there, okay? Not try to become a doctor or zoologist there, okay? But it will give you kind of earlier kind of understanding there, okay, when you want to draw something here. Okay? Later on, when you draw creatures or whatever that you have in mind there, okay, you have this kind of basics kind of understanding there. We don't actually study too details there, but it will give you guys a bit kind of understanding how the structures of those creatures going to be look like. Okay, for example, like this one, if you check look here, right? You see, even though basically I didn't draw details, but the whole kind of basic structures, bone systems, naturally can become a bit part of those presentation and understanding there. Okay, we actually as a part of designers, character designers or an artist there, okay, but we don't actually go through too details, but logically how actually going to do, how actually I'm going to imagine this one. Okay, imagine is not basically the thing here. We go back into those kind of understanding by, okay, cat. Simple there. Take a look back again. Okay, the samples of works right here. So what you can do from here normally there, okay? For example, if I'm checking this one examples there, all right? What I can do, even though I didn't know basically this right or not there, okay? But from my kind of understanding, my kind of studies, I'll take this one, paste right here. Okay, I'm going to put right here, there, right again, where basically those references now. Okay, what I can do right here, this one there, right? Multiply, see, and rotate a little bit. Then I can actually write scale and try to measure that. Okay, back again using image manipulation kind of methods, right? You learn image manipulation, right? So basically this is a part of those understanding there. Okay, we using technologies back again to work with our methods of understanding the guys. See, not quite what we call that accurate, but it's almost there, right? How basically we develop that kind of understanding there. Okay, develop basically our skills over here. I don't know whether you guys will have this kind of information, okay, from other what we call the lessons or from YouTube or whatever, okay, but there has a different kind of way to work. But this is basically one of the suggestions that I actually use for my kind of what we call that study there, okay. If I want to develop my kind of understanding, when I develop basically those kind of study skills at the same time, okay, based on the experience over here. And that's why if you look closely, okay, I actually apply something that actually have been practiced, right? Okay, both combine image manipulation, Photoshop kind of skills, drawings, illustration skill and methods, okay, and illustrations at the same time there, okay, and apply some of the research there, okay. This is all kind of informations, even though we mix them around all together, they basically came from what you actually experience for these semesters there. Even though in color studies, even though we don't use colors, black and white is a part of colors there, right? We use those kind of tone, shadows and shades, lighting kind of effects at the same time there, right? Okay. If I want to add a bit kind of like more presentations kind of look and feels, I actually can basically draw basically some sort of details if I want to right here. Okay. See? Just want to complete and add some sort of grass kind of line works there, even though it doesn't have the, okay. But if I actually apply those kind of what we call that some sort of like suggestions kind of what we call that drawings over here, even though they didn't have, okay, what I'm trying to do right now, well, basically I'm applying those imaginations kind of drawings there at the same time. Yes. Imaginations kind of drawings at the same time there, guys, okay, to work on that. We combine all these elements together. Today you actually write, pay attentions, focus, or carefully to develop those understanding or not. Right? That's basically we try to apply that. Okay? All those combination between what you guys have learned before. Basically on these 7 or 8 weeks there, guys, okay, to work on that. Okay? Any questions on it? Even though I'm taking a bit kind of like quick because we have the time of it, okay, but maybe we are going to continue a bit more further and further, okay, on our lessons for our practical class, guys, okay? So stay tuned. And of course, okay, try to basically, right, okay, update, okay, with my YouTube there, okay, later on, okay, because I'm going to add a bit more and more kind of development and understanding from there. Maybe, right, okay, when we want to draw basically some human face later on, I'm going to apply the same kind of understanding there, okay, by what we call that, giving basically some examples, okay, human skull, for example, there, okay, human skulls there. So how actually I manipulate those human skull structures there, okay, inside profiles, interior cortex view, for example, there, and I'll made it a part of those samples that how actually we're going to develop a kind of understanding from here, all right? To develop a kind of right logically kind of what we call that relation there, okay, between the structures of human being from here, all right, from human skulls to add this kind of alignment and also the structures that actually form basically those muscles, connection between those faces there, okay, to give you guys a bit kind of understanding from here in order to develop your kind of what we call that the right kind of proportion at the same time there, right, okay, to work. So to make it more interesting on your studies there, right, okay, by you combining all those together there, right? Okay, so any questions so far? Any kind of inquiries? The lessons basically is a lot of things that you guys need to learn there, okay, other than just the thing that you saw basically from the books, from those Googles there, okay, from any kind of resources there, okay, a lot of things that we can apply from there. But like I said there, okay, for some of you guys, to change one's mindset is really hard, okay, but you need to know, you need to understand how to change them, okay, the mindset of applying the method that you're going to learn there, okay, the mixed up all together there, okay, because we actually have running out of time, okay, we're running out of time. We always don't have enough time there, okay, so the time that we have basically, okay, try to make full use out of it in order to develop basically our understanding slowly, to develop our skill at the same time there, okay. And of course, I think when Sheen, like Alice, I don't think they have the experience this one, okay, before, okay, because they experience the way that we teach basically before there, okay, but I still actually develop a certain kind of understanding there, okay, from the kind of lesson there, okay, but the point is right now, some people, they don't pay attention enough there, okay, and don't practice their skill at the same time there. And the thing is, we don't practice enough in the right way. We don't actually seek for more kind of information from there. You take for granted what you have here there, right? And you don't willing to change. Basically, it's really hard for people to make it through from there. All right? So you need to force yourself to change there. In whatever that you have inside your mind that you don't want there, right? Otherwise, you're going to suffer, right, okay, to develop that kind of skill there. Because what are the things that I actually show you guys right here? Basically, for me, basically, okay, it's basically from the point of view of my kind of experience to study those kind of structures there. How actually I developed the skill for those kind of years that works on that. But of course, there's a lot of things also from here we can actually improvise. But of course, the time will not basically going to wait for us. You have to seek more and more. That's why I give you guys some examples, some books, some reference there for you guys to study a bit more further on your own at the same time, okay? Because you cannot wait there, okay? In every week, okay, you might going to have that kind of experience with me, but if you don't seek more, if you don't actually look for more informations, you wait and you wait and you serve yourself for assignments only, the knowledge are going to be here only, not a bit more advanced there, right? But I actually, right, thankfully, some of you guys who actually have that kind of skills, okay, be more, what we call that grateful, but study it more further from there, okay? All right, guys, any questions? Any questions there?
No.
No? All right, thank you very much there, guys. Alice, okay, and the rest of you guys who haven't submit those works, please submit, okay, as soon as possible. All right, you guys got until Wednesday there, okay? Until Wednesday there, okay? Because I don't want to wait too long for that there, okay? Because next week, another week, okay, we're going to focus a bit more further on different kind of exercise and also projects there, okay? So please basically what we call the take notes on that. I want to have your kind of written kind of explanations in my email there, okay? Before this Wednesday. Send it by my email there, okay? My personal email there, okay? myglove75@gmail.com there, right? Okay? So please work on that. Right, I want those kind of explanation there, okay? From this one there, okay? This is basically my email there, right? 5@gmail there, right? After or before you submit your kind of projects there. Okay, guys? See you guys on the next sessions, group 5 and group 1. Take a break around 15 minutes there, okay? I'm going to be right here. All right, okay? Prepare yourself and start to download basically this project 2. All right. In week 9, please download them there, right? Okay. See you guys shortly there, okay? In 15 minutes. Take a break, have a good lunch, right? Okay. Have a quick lunch at the same times. I say group 5 and group 1 later on there, okay? So thank you very much, guys, for having me today, and thank you for your patience of waiting at the same times, right? Okay. So good luck with your projects over here. The deadline going to be next week. This week I'm going to be develop those structures only there, okay? Understand the structures there, okay? And please update with my YouTube at the same time, okay? Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Goodbye there, right?
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye there, right?